Hello! Yes, it's the silly one again for another Battletech stream this time. And I was going to do something completely different. I was going to go and do my favourite, best constructed synergistic deck ever. And that's not going to happen. It seems to be the phrase at the moment. You decide you're going to go and do something, and then somebody says something, and everything goes completely out the window, and you end up doing something completely different. And I am doing something completely different, or at least not what I planned. Although I will say this is something that was kind of on the agenda, or at least I thought I would do it at some point, probably between the now and the next 6 or 8 weeks. And then someone said, I don't understand this. Where do they all come from? And somebody made these up, didn't they? And no, it's not the case. It's true. So, what are we talking about today? We are talking about this, the Commander's Edition, and specifically the boxes. And if you have a look on the back, it gives you all the nice info about all the factions included, etc., etc., etc. Yada, yada, yada. And when you open it up, the juicy goodness inside has a load of decks. And this is the Commander's Edition version of, oh, that's the Wolf one, and oh, I've just pulled the Comstar one out. Okay, fine. So, why this? Well, Commander's Edition was released, and there was a lot of consternation. There was a massive, and I've got a different chair today, which seems to, excuse me, sink. So Commander's Edition was released after the debacle that was Arsenal, and the rulings and the changes and the hiatus. Hiatus is probably the best word. Maybe you might go chaos. You might even go cluster something of brain, whatever else it is. But yeah, it was a pretty hairy time. And they said, we're going to sort everything else. We're going to sort it all out. We're going to reprint a load of cards, which we got wrong, like having a space in the blackjack name or putting the dash in the right place, or in the odd case, making fixing errors, mainly typos, completely worthless, didn't affect the game at all. Unless, of course, your name is Dervish, where you got an absolute bum deal, and they made the card worse. And they sold us all of this, and they sold us Commander's Edition, the new format, the new rebrand, everything. And they put on these, you can buy your boxes, but on the back, you get you get a box power. And each one's unique, and each faction's got it. And everyone said, yay, that's cool. And then everyone said, no, that's crap. Yay, because it was cool, because everybody at the time was playing Legend of the Five Rings, and they all had box powers which were really well designed and useful, and actually complemented the game, and were flexible, etc., etc. And then they did the Battletech ones, and they were complete arse, for want of a better phrase. They were just really, really bad. They were badly designed, they were badly implemented. 2 of them are inherently broken. 2 of them are just, well, a number of them are just awful. And they were billed as a little utility or a little power that you could use and just influence the game a little. Whereas 1 or 2 of them broke it, and 1 or 2 of them weren't really used at all. So, first of all, where do you find them? Okay, and very, very simply, you find them by going to the rarity section on Lackey. Here we are, here's Lackey. On the left-hand side, we have the rarity section, and in the rarity, you can type in box, okay? And then this will give you the box itself. I'm not sure why it's in rarity. Maybe it should have been in keyword, really. I mean, when you look at them, then they've just got Inner Sphere or Clan on them. The cards themselves, they're meant to look like cards. Some people absolutely abortionise their boxes, and you love this. They cut them out with a pair of scissors and use them like cards. Okay, if you're thinking of doing that, don't do that. That's sacrilege. That is sacrilege to the great card game itself. And what you should do is go to the website. I'll show you in a minute, and you can either print them off or design your own, or print them off from here. These print-offs, as you can see, are actual scans of the original cards, and simply, just for the sake of it here, I'm going to double-click, come on, and add them all. And the reason I'm adding them all 13 of them, is I'm going to use them in a minute and search the card list itself and whatever else. So for whoever it was that said, I thought somebody made them up, well, you can still find them. If you use the wonderful Wayback Machine and go and look for the Wizards of the Coast archive, Wayback Machine is an archive of all the websites. You can see that the box powers, the Commander's Edition box powers, are listed here. And they are all documented. Unfortunately, the image links have gone, but all of them are done there. Although they only released 8, so 8 of them were in the Commander's Edition box, as you saw there. There are 8 decks. There you go. They're all in there. And then everyone said, "Well, what about Liao? Or what about Russell Haag? And why do these guys not get any?" And Steel Viper was due. Where's the Steel Viper one? Etc. 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 So they ended up printing them out or putting them on the website. And the versions are here. They have been faithfully copied. If you want to check them, please feel free. Here's the address at the top here. If you want the link, I can post you the link. Don't worry about that. But they're there. They're there. Okay. So the 13 cards. Effectively, they were built as an extra card. Are they any good? Generally, yeah. Are they? Yeah. Did you play with them? Yes. We played with them because we were told, hey, box powers are cool. And then everyone found out, no, they're not. And then there was the Arena. There was Arena came out, which was 3 months of playing Innisphere on Innisphere. Innisphere decks only for DCI tournaments. And then 3 months of Clan on Clan. And it was kind of fun and kind of interesting, but it kind of just made the box powers so accentuated that, and the idea was to promote the box powers at the time, that it just made things crazy. So anyway, enough of my rambling. Let's actually look at the cards, and hopefully I can explain to you guys, or anyone listening, or my one follower. You know, we do anything to keep you happy. What the hell is going on here? So, we'll start at the top. El Shane, I think that's how it's pronounced. I don't pretend to be particularly good. I'm an Englishman with a hard accent, so if I don't say it right, I'm sorry. It's just the way I was brought up. At least I'm not saying my Cockney Sparrow and trying to do anything like that, which is even worse accent. So, here we go. So, let's just pull this out so it's nice and big for you guys. El Shane, tap. Scrap a card from your hand, and that's the first thing. All of these are scrap a card from your hand, okay, for an effect. Now, the first thing that comes to my mind when it says tap scrap from your hand is our wonderfully ubiquitous, perfect little, well-designed, possibly the best card in Counter-Strike, which is Black Market. And here this is going to be my reference point. So here's, come on, clear that. I'm not sure what's going on. We'll just get that in place. So here's our Black Market. Tap for a resource, great. Tap, scrap 2 cards and put 1 from your stockpile. Okay, so this is arguably twice as good as what you're getting from your stockpile. That's the benchmark. Black Market, scrap 2 from your hand, and get 1 from your stockpile. Okay, so that's our terms of reference. So when it says scrap 1, you would expect to maybe get half a card from your stockpile. Obviously, we can't get the scissors out or rip it up and pull another one back later, but you would get something equivalent to that. And that could be any card, remember. That could be a unique you want, that could be a mech you want, it could be a mission that wins the game for you. Okay, so let's see what this one does. This is the Ghost Bear one, which says scrap a card from your hand to activate a mech in your construction area. Well, I can do that anyway. Okay, that's fully constructed. Kind of a good idea. put a +1 counter on it for every 3 counters above its cost. So all of a sudden, I've got rid of a card, I've scrapped a card from my hand, and 3 counters is worth 1 attack. Okay, use this ability during your deploy phase. Now that sounds like a pretty poor deal. 3 counters could be another unit. Okay, it could be a dasher, wonderful. It could be an Uller or 2. It could be a Puma, because there's a couple there at 3 cost. It could be a Hanky Prime, whatever. It could be any 3 cost unit. So am I giving my 1 mech +1 damage, or am I better off with another unit on the table instead? And the answer probably is I'd rather have another unit on the table. The only time that this might be useful is if you're running something like a merchant cast deck and you've got resources to spare. And the chances are that if you've got resources to spare, one of 2 things has happened. One, you are either kicking the other guy's backside into next week, or second, you haven't got any mechs, and therefore activating this to put another damage counter on something that you haven't got doesn't work. So generally, not a good card. Not a good card at all. Right, here we go. Our truce, the Marek one. Okay, tap, and this isn't an original artwork. This is artwork from elsewhere. You can tell the original artwork, the text and the format are slightly different. So this is the Marek one. Scrap a card from your hands to give one of your units long range 2. Okay, so our benchmark for long range 2 is actually long range targeting system. Okay, 0-4 assembly. When you activate this card, put it in one of your units. That unit gains long range X, where X is equal to half its attack rounded down. So if you put this on a 4 damage unit, you would get long range 2, which is quite useful if you want to push a few to the stockpile, or the guy chump blocks or whatever else. And you also get another deployment. It's a free deploy. Okie dokie. So this gives the same effect for scrapping a card. And I think if I wanted long range, I'd probably be better off putting long range targeting system in my deck, and putting that on a unit and having it as a free deploy. The only benefit here is that this is scrap a card from my hand, which is arguably a resource I don't want, or anything else, whereas long range targeting system is a card in my deck. So yes, you can bump it up and do long range, but what's the point in bumping it up and doing long range when you've got cards like Blitzkrieg, Blitzkrieg for Marek, which is arguably one of the best missions in the game. Play attacking, untap each blocking mech that's not guarding. Those mechs neither deal or receive damage. It's just why do I want long range when I've got Blitzkrieg? Who thought of the synergy here? Let's put Blitzkrieg in the deck and then give everything long range. Okay, we'll damage it one way or the other. That sounds great, but they have no synergy at all. The only thing you've got there is keeping the other guy thinking. What's the point in untapping everything if I've got long range, or having long range when there's no blockers? So, not great. Might win you a game, maybe. Might win a game, but yeah. I think there's a mission card that gives you long range too. Final push. Final push. Play when blocked. Who cares about Blitzkrieg? Each of your mechs and vehicles may deal up to 2 damage to the target. And that's everything. That's everything. Okay. Yes, it's one mission, whereas you can use the box power on multiple times, but only once per turn because you've got to tap it. So why not just run final push instead? Makes sense. Finish the game, attack with everything, kill it off. So minor bonus? Yeah, maybe. Okay. Huntress, the smoke jag one. Or the one that looks like the Illuminati temple. Okay. Scrap a card from your hand and choose one of your mechs. Reroll all of the missile die rolls for that mech. Use this ability only after all of the missile dice for that mech have been rolled. Right, so pigeonhole, Smoke Jag, missile deck. Goes with the Smoke Jag high command as well. Reroll a missile. Yeah, I didn't take one. Yeah. What is the obsession with Smoke Jaguar and missiles? That's what I don't get. It has relatively few mechs with missiles. You know, you look at the Smoke Jag branded mechs, the ones that are Smoke Jag exclusive. How many of them have got missiles? Not that many. Yet, Smoke Jag always gets missiles. It's true that the Smoke Jag box of Commander's Edition is broken as hell because there's missiles left, right and centre and there's no way to nullify them. And because it's the Commander's Edition boxes, then you get very few ways of actually dealing with them. And yes, the Smoke Jag was, the Commander's Edition box was rightly regarded as do not play with. Especially when the Kurita ones were rebranded wrongly and you opened a Kurita box and got Smoke Jag deck inside. That caused a few consternations as well at people that take the Smoke Jag box out of there and played a tournament with it. But hey-ho. So, yeah, if you want to do that, that's fine. But realistically, okay, scrapping a card for re-rolling lots of missiles is good value for money, so to speak. But who plays missile decks and who wants the random and not in a tournament format, and therefore practically useless to most Smoke Jag decks. Never seen that one played apart from Commander's Edition, drafty, sealed is the word I'm looking for. Okie doke. Next we have the Green Budgie, the Jade Falcon with its floppy disk drive shutter behind the background. And at first this one looks quite reasonable. Tap, scrap a card from your hand to repair up to 3 damage to each of your units. That's pretty strong, to be honest. Use this only during your repair reload phase. Okay. What else repairs? What about mech rotation comes to mind? Scrap it when it's revealed. For every 2 constructors above the cost, mech rotation repairs all damage. So 0, 2A, 2L. If you want a cheap heal, then this is it. But realistically, why is the Jade Falcon one not that great? Well, the simple thing is that generally, if people attack, you are either going to block and kill something or you're not. Okay? A mech left on the table with 3 damage on it is useful to your opponent. You're much better off, instead of just damaging 2 mechs, killing one of them. It's a numbers game. 1 less mech on the table gives you better advantage. So 2 damage, and by 2 damage I don't mean the number 2, I just mean 2 damaged, they have damage counters on them. Not great. Okay, occasionally you chump block and put some damage here or there, or you try and kill something and they play a heavy fog or something, okay, fine. But how often do you use it? How often do you use it? Is there? It's strong, I'll give it that, if the counters are there, but the counters aren't very often there. You might scrap a card to repair a mech, and from that point of view, repairing it and sending it back over, it may well get killed next turn anyway, so the repair doesn't really help a great deal. You know, I'm not a great convert of repairing stuff. So, yeah. Right. Kurita. Scrap a card from your hand, and to give your attacking mech +1 attack. Use this during ability, and only if that mech is attacking alone. Okay, so the card here is +1 attack for the mission, whereas for Ghost Bear it's 3 extra construction counters for a permanent +1, and that unit could die on 1 mission. So, yeah. It might just make the difference on the odd occasion, where you need 1 extra damage here or there, or you might want to bump a bit of damage here and there. But would I rather have 2 +1 attacks to the stockpile doing 2 extra damage and scrap 2 cards, or would I rather have, via black market, the pick of anything in my scrap heap, whether it's another unit, whether it's a finishing mission like Final Push or something like that? And I suspect on most occasions I would probably be wanting black market and probably be wanting that particular card that I wanted. Right, the Davian ones. New Avalon. Scrap a card from your hand to get +2 initiative. Use this during a mission. Well, the problem here is that most Davian decks, A, units have jump, B, they just have big pilots like Kai and Vic. And all of a sudden, with Kai and Vic, you've got initiative all over the place. So if we go and look at the original Kai, here he is, +3 initiative, +3 attack, or +1 initiative, but you win initiative anyway. And Prince Vic, Prince Vic, here he is at +3/+3. What the is another +2 initiative going to do me? It's not going to do much. The only way that this is going to work is if you've got something like expert timing where you get +1 and you can now scrap a card to give you +2 initiative and you play this mission so it now gets +2 attack on top of the whatever Vic, Kai or any of the pilots and jumping bonuses give you. Yeah, or the defensive one, which is evasive maneuver. Here we go, prevent 1 damage to one of your mechs for each point of initiative. So again, I do not know why they push Davian and initiative. Davian initiative just seems to be the thing. When you look at things like, where are we? Teachings of the Unfinished Book, +2 initiative and another deployment. When you look at Hansi, here you go. He gives you tactics, okay, fine. And then when you look at his legacy, for some reason it gets +2 armor and whatever. Where's all this initiative stuff? They seem to push Davian initiative for some bizarre reason, and I don't know why. Right. And now we get on to the juicy goodness. The Steel Viper one, New Kent. Okay. Scrap a card from your hand to search your stockpile for any unit card. Show that card to all players. Put it into your hand and shuffle your stockpile. Then choose any unit card in your hand, show it to all players, and restock it. Use this ability during your deploy phase. Okay. I cannot stress how broken as frick this is. Basically, it allows you to look through your entire deck for a unit that you want and put it in your hand and restock another one. Okay. So this is just crazy. It looks innocuous, but it is absolutely bananas. Okay. And why is it bananas? Well, the first thing we can do is we can go and pick our Dasher Prime. So, New Kent, scrap it from your hand. Use this during your deploy phase. So at the start of my deploy phase, I scrap a card, and it's I know someone mentioned Omni Mech Podcast. It's not even an Omni Mech Podcast because it just says pick a unit. Doesn't have to be the same type. It just says pick a unit. So you pick your Dasher Prime. Out it comes, Mr. Spanky 3. Okay, straight off. But the other thing you do with this is you run your elemental points. So if we look at these, if we try and type properly, we look at Blitzkrieg elemental point. So this has got AP, so it does 4 damage, and our Dasher does 3 damage. So 4 and 3 makes 7, which is a resource killer. So now you're probably starting to understand where I run 10 elementals, 6 Dashers, and I'll tell you what the rest of the deck is in a minute. But you run those, and the idea is that you get 2 elementals and 2 Dashers out. And literally, if your opponent deploys 2 resources, you kill both of them. And then when they deploy 2 more resources, you kill both of them. And you literally have a resource denial machine. Okay. Now, for those of you who are thinking about Omni-Mech Podcast, then yes, we will play with Omni-Mech Podcast. Because what we'll do after we've got our Dasher and our elemental combo is we will play with Omni-Mech Podcast and we will play with our Black Hawks. And what we do here is we play with our Black Hawk D for 2, and we turn that into, where are you? Our favourite little Smash Hawk, Black Hawk S, wherever it's gone. Where's it gone? Black Hawk. There it is. There you go. It just looks like, oh, I know why. What's happened? There's a bit of a issue there with the spacing, I think, maybe. Oh well, not to worry. So you play Black Hawk S. So if you've got a Black Hawk S in your hand, you restock it to get your Dasher or even your Black Hawk D, and then you play Omni Mech Pod Cache on your Black Hawk D to get your S out straight away. And this does 8 damage with AP, this does 9. So if someone's got one of those slightly more tougher resources like Field Construction Site, you can go and obliterate it with this. And unless your opponent is running lots and lots of free deploy, everything that he deploys each turn, you can slaughter it. And after about 5 turns, it's game over because he's got nothing on the table. You've got 2, 3, 4 combos that can kill anything that he plays, and then the rest hit the stockpile. Broken as hell. Broken as hell. So that's one of the reasons people used to play Steel Viper. Okay, what have we got here? Oh, yes, the Rasselhag one. Scrap a card from your hand. You have to have a command card that deals damage, deal +1 total damage. +1 total damage. Weird phrasing for me, but there you go. Use this ability when you activate that card, which seems a little bizarre because when it says activate that card, it probably means when you tap that card. Because this obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is Arrow 4, and actually when it says activate that card, it doesn't work with Arrow 4. So you can't make your Arrow 4 do 2, neither can you make your Thumper Battery do more. The cards that this is referring to is something like Corridor of Fire. I don't play with this very often, so I just download it. Scrap when revealed, so this is when you activate it. Choose a site and deal 1 damage. Deal damage equal to the number of construction counters above this card. So I've scrapped a card in my hand for this to do 1 extra damage. Well, if it was a resource, why am I not putting it on the table and tapping it this turn to put a counter on it? And if I'd put it on the turn before and the turn before that and the turn before that, I'd put another loads of counters on it. So the only thing that's limiting that is your deployment strategy. If you look at the mech decks, then they have multiple deployments in that respect. Things like fast deployment in order to drop an absolute bucket load of resources. If you just look at that for a second. Here's fast deployment. Make 3 additional deployments this turn. You pay 2 for it, and you just go, fine, resource, whatever. Resource, strip mine, resource. Thank you. 5 resources, bang, tap them all, bang, bush. Something happens. So this doesn't seem to fit. It's just build a big bomb. Okay, that's where Rasselhag and Mechless was the only competitive deck in there. But it doesn't work with anything else, which is not great. What have we got now? Cian or Lao. Scrap a card from your hand to give your opponent -1 initiative. This is mildly useful. I've played Liao in this and used the box, and I've used the box power to basically stop my opponent playing missions. If you go back a couple of weeks, I did a review of Cardiff where I won the tournament, and the first match I was playing Glenn Few, who was spanking the hell out of me with a Marek missile deck, and I managed to turn that around. But I used the box power to give him -1 initiative. None of his units jumped. He couldn't play missions, which was kind of fortunate for me. So it has an effect, but you can't maintain it. I suppose maybe timing is the most important bit here. If you're expecting to be final push to death, then you might be able to get rid of, stop that playing. But generally, if they've got a pilot, they're +2 or 3 or a number of initiative. Generally, if they've got opponent mechs, then some of them may well jump. So all you're doing is reducing 1 damage effectively, because jump is 1 initiative, +1 initiative, -1 attack. So it's prevent one damage in that respect. And if you look at it like that, it's not that strong. St. Ives. Oh, the wonderful picture there. Scrap a card from your hand to gain A, L, M, P and T until the end of turn. Use this ability during your deploy phase. Now, this looks quite good until you compare it to Trial of God, as it's often called. Zero cost. Scrap Trial of Grievance when it's revealed. Gain A, L, M, P and T until the end of turn. You may deploy Trial of Grievance revealed and make an additional deployment. Draw a card when you activate it. So, okay, it's clan versus St. Ives. The effects are pretty much the same, but the clan get a free deploy and draw a card, whereas St. Ives scrap a card from their hand to get the same effect. And, well, doesn't Think Tank give me something very similar? Okay, I get to choose it, but I get it until the end of the game. And I get the one I want, and you're probably only going to use this for one you want. I did use this in the Inner Sphere season. I played St. Ives, so I could say I've played a St. Ives deck, because no one else really could do that, because they didn't have a great deal of cards. I played St. Ives C3 with Kai, and I played Dropship Intercept, which depletes stuff, so anything that attacks depletes, and I was trying to combo it with the wonderful It's a Trap, which is like treachery for everybody. So you basically force your opponent to attack in one big group, and then you dropship them, and it gives you 2 turns to beat the hell out of their stockpile. And you'll see that It's a Trap has got a politics buyout, and I was running an AET C3 deck, and basically the idea was I would just scrap a spare resource in order to pay for the 5 politics. I think in hindsight, you know, in this case, and only this case, you know, scrapping a card to gain 5 politics, which is 5 resources effectively, isn't a bad deal. But it wasn't a major point in the game. And in the end, what happened, because it was too slow, is I ended up taking the It's a Traps out and played dropships and used my sideboard, which is probably another good stream, actually, on how to play with sideboards. Okay, following on from that, we have the wonderful Stranamekti Wolf card. Scrap a card from your hand, choose one of your mechs. That mech may attack as if it was 1 speed faster. May attack, not defend, just attack. Okay, use this ability during a mission. So what card does that? The card that does that is effectively Maneuvering Ace. 0-3T, +1 initiative. Mech piloted by Maneuvering Ace may attack and block as if 1 speed faster. If mech piloted by Maneuvering Ace is a fast mech, it cannot be blocked except by mechs guarding the target. So where does that compare? Okay, it doesn't affect fast mechs, so this only affects mediums and slows. So if I've got a fast mech, this does nothing, because there is no speed faster than fast. I know Travis has extra fast and extra slow and all that kind of stuff, but I kind of think that 3 categories is enough, and having 5 categories is just stupid. And then you've got your Maneuvering Ace, and then when does a Maneuvering Ace do to a fast mech or extra fast mech? And no, we're into elite mech warrior territory. We're not going there. So mech may attack as if 1 speed faster, and it's only attack, not block. So maybe if you've got a moderate and he's got a moderate, and you can use this to bump it, and he can't block you. But when you're looking at Wolf, then most people just play fast stuff anyway. So where's the use? Where's the use? Right, Terra. I mean, it does look a bit Tolkien-esque, this picture. The Comstar homeworld. Scrap a card from your hand to look at your opponent's hand. You see everything, and discard one of the cards at random. Okay. the great thing there is that you know what's in his hand. When you discard, it goes to the stockpile. You are allowed to look at the opponent's stockpile at any point, so you know what you've got rid of. You know what's in their hand. Okay, use this ability during a mission. Okay, so this one is broken as hell. It is broken as hell because obviously you see what they've got. But, okay. So this is what you do. You sacrifice any of your cards, regardless, each time to remove one of their cards from their hand. Okay? So after 5 turns, you've sacrificed your hand, and they've sacrificed their hand. Okay? And of course, you'll play logistics, which is play hidden reserves to restock your hand to 3. And unless they're doing the same, you're going to have advantage. Okay. Secondly, you tech your deck. Okay. And what you do here is you play 24 basic resources, A and T, say, and then you fill your deck with the normal suspects that are low cost for Comstar. So you would play you'd play your Mongoose, you'd probably play your Owens, you'd play Pinto, your little chopper, because 2 costs, that does 2 damage and it can't be blocked. Okay. And what you do is each turn, whatever it is you throw away, you scrap your 1 card from your opponent's hand. It doesn't matter what they scrap, because most decks run, if it's a 24-12-24, if you've seen the rule, look at the earlier podcasts, probably the first one on that if they're running 24 resources, 24 units, and 12 mission stroke commands, or something akin to that, they're very shortly going to run out of resources and run out of units. And literally they're top decking. They are top decking. And from that point of view, you run 30 units. You run 30 units knowing that you will, on the law of averages, get at least mech advantage after about 5 turns, because you'll have drawn extra units that you can deploy. And if they just say draw 2 resources, they can deploy them, but they've got nothing on the table, nothing to develop. And literally you run out of their hand, you fill yours up, and you just beat them down. And as I said, they're top decking all the time. And there you go. Win the game. Thank you very much. People sat there with no cards in the hand. I don't know what to play because I'm playing against Comstar. Okie dokie. So there we go. And, I missed, or I've jumped the Steiner one. Tharkad. Scrap a card from your hand to gain a resource. Use this during your deploy phase. Okay. So I'm scrapping a resource from my hand to gain a resource. Okay. So what is it? Is it a Scrounger Crew? Is it Scrounger Crew? Scrap a card. Okay, so it's from your stockpile to gain 2 resources. Okay. Is it Lost Tech? I'm sure there's one that does this. Scrap 1 card from your hand to gain 2 resources. And this is a 0 cost. Okay, it doesn't give you an asset, but it's a 0 cost resource. You can tap it for 1. It's in a sphere only. Or you can scrap a card from your hand to gain 2. So apart from the fact that it's just sat on the table, why would I do this? Isn't that resource better on the table? Okay, deployments are limiting in that respect. You might have a load of resources and you can't deploy them, or you can only deploy them at a certain rate. But there you go. I mean, is it useful? No. And again, with this, if I've built my deck correctly, I'll probably get a nice cost curve. Okay, might help you out if you get a bit of a resource screw or something or other like that. But invariably, I'd rather have a black market on the table, tap it for 1 this time. In fact, hell, I'd have a Lost Tech Cache on the table instead. One of the cards that's never seen a deck. In fact, it's such a lower end of the road card. It's that bad you wouldn't put it in a deck, but it's that good that you wouldn't put it in a worse deck. I considered it for the match I played against Chester and decided it's just too good. It's just too good to put on the table. Potentially. So yeah. Or would you rather have one of the strongest cards in the game in the form of black market? I know what the answer is. So, anyway, there you are. The 13 cards that are the box powers. They were deemed as cards, and you could tap your box, turn your box round. Whoa, that was exciting. To pretend you were playing Legends of the Five Rings and Battletech. And as soon as people worked out that Comstar was broken, Steel Viper was broken, that's all that got played. I seem to remember playing at Beer and Pretzels. I think it was 99. And I think that was the St. Ives deck. Every other deck was Steel Viper or Comstar. Simple as that. You know, and when 90% of the decks are either one of those two, you know something is way too good, way too broken, way too bad. It just turned the game into dice, well, not dice rolling, but who drew what. That simple as that. Who drew what. And that's not a game of skill. That's a lottery. There is another game I play called Cards with a capital K. It's a World War II one, and there's a particular card that discards stuff from your deck, and then they formed a particular deck, and it was called Casino Jagro, because one of the cards you could discard, when you discarded it, actually came back into the game higher powered and was basically paid for free. And if you drew one of those three out of your deck of 40, then you probably had a really good chance of winning the game, like 90% of the time. And if you didn't draw it, you lost 90% of the time. And it was complete toss a coin, see if you win. And that's where it ended up. The box powers were originally designed to be mild increases or effects on the game to support stuff, but they really weren't well designed. They were either incredibly niche, like the Smoke Jag one, incredibly anemic, like the Karita one, or the Steiner one, +1 attack, +1 resource. Possibly situationally useful in the form of the Marek one with long range. Or broken as hell with Comstar and Steel Viper, or just not useful generally, or completely off theme, like the Wolf one potentially. And that's why nobody plays with them. You know? How many games have you played that have had box powers legal? No. Everyone played the clan season. Everyone played the Innisphere season. Everyone decided box powers were a pile of poo, and they basically said, "We're playing a tournament. No box powers. No box powers. No box powers." And you never saw them again. The only time you see them now is when you pick up one of these. That's the only time you see them. So anyway, as ever, thank you for listening to my inane babble and putting up with me. I will do my best to repeat this as soon as I can. For those of you that don't know, then on Twitch you can hit the subscribe button, which is when I do something, you get a nice little message and it pops up and tells you that I'm doing stuff. Or if you're on the Yahoo, no, YouTube version, then you can do something similar, and when I upload a video and share it, then you can see it there as well. Not going to do anything. There's a very, very small chance I might do something later this week. Unlikely, and probably not. If I don't do it this week, I won't do anything for a couple of weeks. There are a few things on and that. But for those of you that are, and I'm trying to stream on average once a week. There are the wonderful games of myself and Chester playing our worst decks against each other. They'll be released shortly or available, and you can watch those. And then when I come back, I've got another match with Chester, hopefully, and a bit more gameplay and something a little different as well. So anyway, in the meantime, I wish you all well, and look after yourselves. It's a big bad world out there, and I'll see you again for another stream on another day. Take care.